Every game Sonic has touched is now canon and is included here.
Not really. It's time to put my hat in the ring. Hey, what's happening everyone? My name is Speedstreak and welcome to the Theoryverse, where we tackle theories for video games, movies, TV shows, comic books, and anything geek related. Now, as you've seen from the beginning and title of the video, we'll be tackling the Sonic the Hedgehog Timeline. Now, months ago, back in March, Sega and Sonic Team released an official Sonic the Hedgehog Timeline on the Sonic Channel website, which not only detailed the past of Sonic's world, but they also showed up what games are canon. I really like how Sega and Sonic Team are working to fix Sonic's lore, as they confirm that humans and Mobians live in one world, that Sonic CD takes place before Sonic 2, and Classic Sonic is the younger version of modern Sonic, which I did tackle in previous theory videos. Now, if you've seen Game Theory's recent take on the Sonic timeline, they at first did give good pointers in the first part of their video, but sadly, they decided to go off-rail and make so many mistakes. Not only did they force Sonic Chronicles into the timeline, even though Sega confirmed that it is non-canon, but they also just put every Sonic game into the timeline. And I mean every Sonic game, including all the spin-off games and the arcade games, many of which are non-canon, except for the Sonic Boom games, which of course are in their own universe separate from the main universe. Not like that, but they also messed up the timeline by putting many games in the wrong place. I mean, Sonic 3 and Knuckles taking place after Sonic Chaos and Sonic Triple Trouble instead of taking place after Sonic 2? And Sonic Forces after the events of Sonic Frontiers? And not like that, but they also didn't do any research regarding if any of the arcade games and the spin-off games that they just slapped onto the timeline are canon or non-canon. Seriously, when I reacted to their video, I started off agreeing with them for many of their theories regarding which Sonic games are canon at the beginning, but when they began talking about Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, and when I saw they just put every Sonic spin-off game in the timeline, the video just went down from there. Even though they stated in their video that they couldn't talk about every spin-off game due to the time of the video, it would have been better if they did a two-parter or even a three-part series so they'll be able to explain the timeline better, but sadly their video did not do justice. You can't just put every game in the timeline with no consideration that they're non-canon. Not every game is canon. It's like putting every non-canon Mario spin-off game or every Mario Party game into the Mario timeline, or trying to make the Legend of Zelda CDI games canon to the Legend of Zelda timeline even though they're non-canon. It doesn't work at all. Not only that, but they think that in Sonic Generations, all the enemies that Sonic, Classic Sonic, and Shadow faced are just memories, when in fact, they are real. Sonic fought both Shadow and Silver, and we even see that from Shadow's perspective. Shadow and Silver were even cheering along with everyone else for Sonic and Classic Sonic to fight against the Time Eater, and came back with everyone to celebrate Sonic's birthday. Shadow Generations further proves this, since we play as Shadow in his own adventure in Whitespace. That shows that both Shadow and Silver are not just memories. They were sent physically to Whitespace by the Time Eater. Even the bosses themselves are not memories either, including Metal Sonic, Perfect Chaos, and Metal Overlord, and even Egg Dragoon and the Death Egg Robot. They existed in certain points in time, and Sonic and Classic Sonic and Shadow had to explore the zones and fight the bosses in Whitespace in order to restore the timeline and the universe. There's even one villain who once did exist, is not just a memory, and is desperate to get back into the timeline, and that is Mephiles. When we see Shadow fight Mephiles again in Shadow Generations, Mephiles stated that he wants to exist again, knowing that the events of Sonic 06 did happen, but Shadow stated that he doesn't remember since the events were erased. What is interesting is that Mephiles wants nothing more than an erasure of all time, as well as uniting with Iblis to become Solaris again. But since Sonic 06 was erased, he experienced being surrounded in nothingness and the non-existence of time within white space. When he sees Shadow again, he remembers their last encounter and tries to end him. But Shadow has grown stronger over time, as well as having the new Doom powers. What infuriates Mephiles is that Shadow doesn't remember him as they fought, and over time becomes more desperate to exist again, until Shadow defeats him and seals him back into the Scepter of Darkness. Now with that in mind, we'll be diving into the Sonic the Hedgehog timeline and see what games are canon that Sega needs to officially confirm. If you guys remember, I did do an analysis video on the Sonic timeline when it was created, and even though it was missing many games that are canon or mentioned in other Sonic games, Sega still did a great job with the timeline, and they did state on Twitter that they will update it and add more games, but so far we haven't seen any updates yet. So for now, we'll be adding the games that are known to be canon, then we'll add in the games that are mostly believed to be canon based on clues and hints I have found. So, let's move over to the video game timeline Time Machine. Alright everyone, here we are in the video game timeline Time Machine, which we are now looking into the Sonic timeline. Now before we figure out which games are canon, let's move over to the modern era and confirm the one game that is non-canon, Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. So without further ado, let's turn the time circuits on, make sure the flux capacitor is fluxing, and let's travel across time and space and fix the Sonic the Hedgehog timeline. Here we go. Alright, here we are with the Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. Released back in 2008, Sonic Chronicles was released on the Nintendo DS and was in fact the first Sonic RPG game. Originally, there was supposed to be a sequel due to the game ending on a cliffhanger, but it was cancelled and rendered non-canon to the main timeline. And what Game Theory didn't do to understand why Sonic Chronicles is non-canon is because they literally stated they didn't know why, which is lack of research. Now to understand why, it had to do with a former Archie Sonic artist and writer, and the most hated man in the Sonic community, Ken Penders. Back in the late 2000s and early 2010s, Ken Penders sued Archie Comics for the rights of his characters from the Sonic Archie series, including all of the echidnas, which led to a lot of lawsuit mishaps, Archie making mistakes, and led to Archie rebooting the Sonic series through their Sonic and Mega Man crossover, erasing all of Penders' characters and rewriting the entire original Sonic Archie history. And although the post-reboot Archie Sonic series did well, sadly it was cancelled back in 2017 due to Archie failing to produce the right contracts, Sega putting down more strict creative mandates to make sure the timelines are closer to the games, and Archie focusing more on their own properties over the Sonic comics, which led to Sega not only cancelling their deal, but they also later joined IDW, leading into the Sonic IDW comics. I actually did talk about this on my channel years ago after hearing about Archie Sonic's cancellation. Luckily, a group of Sonic fans made a group called the Sonic Archie Online, in which Sonic fans made a fan-made continuation of not only the original Sonic Archie series, but also the rebooted series and the Sonic Universe series. And if you haven't heard about this, be sure to check out their website. Alright, back to Penders. Not only that, but he also sued Sega for the Nocturnus clan from Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, stating that they are too similar to his Dark Legion echidnas. Which, even though there are similarities, I don't see any problem with the groups. I think the Nocturnus clan could probably be an alternate universe of the Dark Legion echidnas, but Penders was so obsessed with his characters that he would rather not let any echidna, other than Knuckles, to be part of the Sonic series. And this is unfortunately the catalyst which led to the game becoming non-canon. I have to admit though, it actually would have been really interesting if the game was canon. It would help expand with the lore of Knuckles' past and the origins of the Gizoids, but thanks to Penders, it is not part of the timeline. Not only that, but if it were canon, not only would we have heard mentions of the Nocturnus clan in later games, but we also have seen one character being mentioned or seen in later games, and that is Shade the Echidna, which Penders himself claimed that she is similar to his character, Lara Sue. The problem here is that he had no hand in designing Shade, nor in the Nocturnus clan. Yeah, both of them were not created by Ken Penders. I mean, once again, it is possible that she could be like an alternate dimension version, but once again, Shade in the entirety of Sonic Chronicles is officially non-canon. So with that, I doubt that Sega would confirm Sonic Chronicles to be canon anytime soon. I don't think they want to deal with Ken Penders anymore, and I can understand why. I would give points to Game Theory for explaining how Sonic Advance and the Sonic Storybook games are canon, for they stated that Advance is after Sonic Shuffle, since Sonic still has his light speed shoes from Sonic Adventure before he got his new soap shoes in Sonic Adventure 2, not to mention the channel minigames. Not only that, but they also stated that the Sonic and the Secret Rings takes place after Sonic Riders, because at the end of Sonic Riders, Sonic, his friends, and the Babylon Rogues discovered that one of the very first extreme gears to be made was a magic carpet. And in Secret Rings, Sonic saw a magic carpet when he and Shara traveled into the Arabian Nights. For Sonic and the Black Knight, they also stated that it could take place after the events of Sonic Unleashed, because near the end of the game, Amy asks Sonic if he would like to go on a date with her after fixing the planet, and he said yes, in which is confirmed at the end of the Black Knight, where Sonic told Amy of his adventures in Camelot, but she thought he just said that because he forgot about their date. And I have to admit, these are very plausible. Now for the next subject regarding the Sonic timeline, I will be talking about the connection as well as the confusion across the Sonic Rush games, Sonic 06, and the Sonic Rivals games. I know that Sega has confirmed that the Sonic Rush games and Sonic 06 are canon, but it is also possible that the Rivals games are canon as well, since not only were the events of Sonic 06 erased, but the Rivals games led to the official arrival of the hero of the future himself, Silver the Hedgehog. So, stay tuned as we will be delving into the connection across the Rush games, Sonic 06, and the Rivals games in the next episode of the Theoryverse. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to check out my other theory videos, delving into theories for video games, movies, TV shows, and anime, and anything geek related. And also be sure to check out my other content where I do Let's Plays, reviews, discussions, top 10s, voice impressions, and challenges. And if this is the type of content you enjoy watching and kept updated for all those videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bells on. So once again, thank you very so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Speedstreak out.